I was really happy that you mentioned Evie Lorgren, Ian. I've worked with her a little bit, and her theory obviously is that everything is orchestrated for us, for abductees, that our entire lives seem to be orchestrated, and these people, negative people, are inserted into our lives.
Absolutely, absolutely. That totally resonates with what I've found in my
To make us
research.
suffer, to basically keep us from the light, from ascending, and to make us suffer. So that's Evie's findings in the abductees that she's interviewed, and some of the stories. I don't have that particular book, but I've talked to her extensively on the phone and read her website and stuff. And I think her research is really, really spot on.
I think so, and I would recommend anybody to read The Dark Side of Cupid and The Alien Love Bite. This is important work because it absolutely details with the orchestrated lives of people and how their whole lives have been orchestrated by non-humans, and people then start to realize that it's not all a matter of their own free will. There's a certain amount that they're going along with, and that they've been almost pre-programmed to do. I think that's where I picked up the first time I used and heard the term was the orchestrated events was with Eve Lorgren. So thank you for that.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to comment, Crystal, you talked about your warnings about the New World Order and your visions that, there could be soldiers in black, with blonde hair, blue eyes, and sort of Aryan chiseled features committing genocides here. If we look at the actual truth of history, in 1917, with the Russian Revolution, under Lenin and Trotsky, the communists killed about 20 million, white Orthodox Christian Russians. They're anti-human, and so if this vision comes true, I think it's kind of a typical misdirection of the globalists, that they would want blonde hair, blue-eyed, chiseled Aryans committing mass genocide to disguise that it's actually globalists doing it. That's kind of my interpretation of that vision.
I think that, yeah, if we look at matter bodies as part of it, we're missing almost like a huge part of the phenomenon, because what they actually look like doesn't really matter, because they're just physical bodies being manipulated to create total dominance, control, and suffering. And so if you look at it in a dimensional realm, a body's just holding the energies, right? And like, I don't think it really matters what they look like. I think it's just whoever's convenient, whoever can be used as pawns to perpetrate this travesty against humanity. And it is coming fast. Like, we've got so little time left. And I was literally told by the ETs that I have to tell and warn people. They said, why are you not doing this? Like, do it now. So I'm just like, that's why I'm public today. That's why I'm putting, I don't care what the world thinks. I'd rather them, take some of that truth from it, because when it hits you, it's going to hit you. Like, cognitive dissonance is what is stopping people from acting and from disconnecting from this insanity. It's that cognitive dissonance that we don't believe that it could possibly be true. And so our brain won't integrate it into reality, and we fail to act. And so we stand there like the people in Thailand while the tsunami was coming. They stood on the beach and they watched that wave, and they just watched it. They just watched it, and it hit them. And it hit lots of them. And some tried to run at the last second. It was too late. And so that's cognitive dissonance. And that's what that's the spell that we're under, is cognitive dissonance. And it's a form of conditioning and mind control that's been slowly created over time. Human beings have been conditioned into a non-responsive state, and to question their own reality as they view it, as it's unfolding before their very eyes. And so when reality is showing you something, and you're being told something completely different, you start to experience cognitive dissonance. So you do nothing. And so you're sort of like a sitting duck. And that's where we're heading right now. Like, I mean, this is months away, I think.
Exactly. That's where we are. We're there, Crystal. Yeah. We're there. I believe we're there. And things are being done right under our noses. And most people don't realize it. Most people will swear that everything is fine. and everything is going back to normal
It's
as
not.
the world is changing on us, you know, in unfathomable ways that we could never have imagined would have happened, especially so quickly. Even David Icke is surprised, you know, and he's been saying it for 30 years. And even he was taken by surprise by the force behind the thing that is happening at the moment. You know, the multifacetedness of it, so that it's in every aspect of our lives. It's being integrated into every aspect of people's lives. So they don't even realize that it's happening. And hopefully people will start to awaken before it's actually too late, and you know, people are carried off in trains to be disposed of, etc. All of that reality that you're warning about.
Yeah, it was a modern day Holocaust event, and it started with COVID. That was the beginning of getting everybody to just give up all their rights. And then it became like irrelevant to even explain it anymore. It was just like, shut up and get on the train, go to the factory, get in line. You know, it's crazy. And people are like, I think there's been a mistake. I mean, there's literally people going, no, I think that there's been a mistake. Like, I don't know where we are, what we're supposed to be doing here. But I mean, this is what I saw. I saw the vision of it. He showed it to me. The ETs showed this to me. They showed elderly people first, and homeless people, elderly people. So they were kind of the first. Women and children were at one stage of it also being disposed of specifically. It's so dark, right? But we have to know. I mean, we have to know what's going on. But they were marching themselves into the factory. Oh, there's been a mistake. That's what they said to the soldier. The soldiers pushed them back into the lineup and said, shut up. And they just marched into these giant rooms where they were gassed and then shoveled out as they were dead. This is like exactly what they say happened in the Holocaust, and it is a repeating of history that humanity thinks, oh well, if I can just get my comfort back, I'll do anything to get my comfort back, because I need my short-term comfort right now. And so, yeah, I'll get in line. Sure. I'll get on the train. No problem. Because I'm going to get my short-term comfort back really soon here. It's going to go back to normal. No, it's not. It's not. And the more you give up for your short-term comfort, the more you give up for the rest of humanity. And we are all equally responsible for this. It is not to fearmonger. It is to awaken to the actual reality of what's really going on. And so when you have hundreds of thousands of people who are trying to speak out and being silenced, why?
Mm-hmm.
Why can't they say something? Because It's a lie. It's a lie. If it wasn't a big deal and, you know, truth was reality was what you were seeing, then why would they have to hide that so badly? Why are they doing this?
I think the censorship is the clue that people will eventually plug into, the censorship, because we haven't lived with that. You know, we've lived with free speech for all of our lives, pretty much. I would say even Marie, right? Marie and I, who are the oldest here. And we've fought for free speech. We've lived with free speech. We've lived what we thought was a liberal lifestyle, whereas now the liberal lifestyle is actually the one that's censoring. Absolutely, and people are so confused. I remember when I was at university, I didn't feel confused, but I'm sure that kids that are going to university now are completely confused. You know, I mean, people don't even know if they're a boy or a girl. I mean, it's to that point where the confusion is so bodily. And that is being done on purpose, for sure.
Yeah, and what they showed me was that these dark ETs were devout spiritualists as well, and that they used spiritualism in a reverse manner. And I think that's very important.
Yes, I saw that too.
Yeah, You saw
Oh,
that?
yes.
I saw that too, and I saw in the lineup, it's almost like they will say they will make you give it up, and if you don't give it up, I saw them killing you right there. It's almost like, are you going to answer this? Are you going to do this? If not, boom. Like, sorry to be so graphic, but that's what I saw in the lineup. Almost, it was a short vision like that.
I saw that too.
You
I saw
did?
you
You saw
stepped
that
out
too?
of line. They shot you in the head right there.
Yeah, you saw that? They
I
asked you, and
Right.
if you didn't give it up right there, and some people said no, like some people are Jesus or whatever, and they're like, no, they're devout Christians, and they ask you, are you going to give that up? And they're like, no, I'm going to follow Jesus or whatever, and they're like, boom, right there in the head.
Yeah, they're trying to make you renounce the light.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's
this is
exactly
incredible
what I
because
saw.
but both of you two have been telling me the same thing, and now you're both telling each other
Oh my
that you've
God,
both seen it.
Ian says me and you say the exact same thing.
I have goosebumps. Like
I'm
this.
having goosebumps right now. My hair is sticking up on my arm. Oh my God.
Me too.
Oh,
Oh my God, I'm having goosebumps.
okay, well, you know what? You know why? You know why? Because it's true.
Oh my God, my hair's standing up. I had goosebumps all over.
Me too.
Yeah.
my
Hey, this
God.
is Steve.
Stevie.
I'd like to participate. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I was going to
Steve.
tell you, all this is confirmation. For years, I've known things and I've seen things. And even in Washington State, back in the 90s, I came across an area where there's 10 miles of special train cars that there's no reason for them to had ever been there. And that's over 1,000 cars. And I know what those cars are for. They are for loading up the dead bodies and those that they're going to probably take to incinerators that they already have built in Eastern Oregon and northeastern part of Oregon. And I also live, since I live in Vancouver, I'm right across from Portland, Oregon. And there at the Gunnarsson manufacturing, they built through the years from people that I knew that actually had friends and relatives that worked there. They built shackled prison train. So I mean, the actual everything was set in motion for the day to come, where there'll be areas where people will be rounded up and put into these special train cars and taken off to places probably where they'll be either gassed, injected, guillotined, or just plain burned. And I mean, it's not I've had the problems with the black helicopters through the years, and it's not because of what I hear. I mean, this is right on. See it with my own eyes. Have a few people that are willing to actually to where they'll actually see when you say look, they'll actually look and see what's going on. And so this is we are living in the very near future of complete dystopian world, and it's moving very fast. And sci-fi, even some of the good sci-fi writers through the years were trying to tell people, wake up, these things are happening to you and you need to do something about it. And of course, what we live in a day and age now is the powers that are evil and that seem to have so much power is they want to divide and conquer everyone. If they can get people to where they're divided, then they won't speak, and then they won't get together and do anything about these problems that are, they're actually so blatant, because I see it in the stores, different things that are no longer sold. I see shortages. And the thing is, it's like there's like a mass hypnosis around the world, in that people are sort of in a daze, and they just don't, it's like they can't see with their eyes what's really happening to them, how they're losing their freedoms. Each and every day I read about more and more things they're taken away from us. Yes. And I know this for a fact because through the years I used to listen to shortwave radio. I used to listen to the news from all these other countries, and slowly but gradually those stations no longer exist. And guess what? The news you read or hear or see on the most part is basically the same pablum that they speak out to the masses. And people just go, oh, well, they said everything's just fine. It's like the thing with the COVID. I go to the regular sites where there's all sorts of thousands of people that have died from it, and there's actually a reporting center for that. But they say on our regular news, oh, nobody's died from that. Oh, those vaccinations are 100% safe. I mean, there's no real problems. And I know people in the medical field that have told me recently, they said it's not just things with the COVID, but it's even the suicides. There's so many suicides in communities. You don't even really want to know the numbers because it make you cry. And there's probably someone that you may know directly or indirectly through family members. I just lost a friend to suicide, 51 years old. A spirit got a hold of him and he couldn't be changed. And he ended up basically, one night he just walked away, and a few days later he was dead.
We have two. We
Yeah.
have two in our family that have happened. Young people, friends of my children, that
Yeah.
are between 33 and 40.
Yeah.
And there's two cases actually in the last 2 months.
Yeah.
I just had my friend die last week. He's 56.
I'm sorry.
And the week before that, another friend 50.
Yeah.
Both alcoholism and drugs, both OD'd.
Mm.
And about this vaccine, my vision about the big factories is all I heard is whatever you do, I heard this last February, whatever you do, don't take it, run for your life. If you go into this building, you'll never come out.
Right.
And I also saw people right now, like they're saying you can't go on planes without it. You can't go, and right now they're giving people a choice to get vaccinated or not. Well, they're not going to give you a choice at one point, and they're going to actually drag you out of your home, and they're going to make it mandatory. And if you don't take it, this is where you go. You go into this building, and this is what I saw. This is what these buildings.
You know, I just got back from Mexico on the 5th. I just finished, actually last night, I finished my quarantine, my 2-week quarantine. I had an absolute meltdown days before I got on that plane because, well, first of all, I had to take the test and the test had to be negative. So I had already bought 4 tickets, 2 for me and 2 for my dog, on different airlines that weren't gonna fly. So I've lost a bunch of money, thousands of dollars actually I've lost in trying to get home to Canada. So it was very, very stressful. But at one point, my kids were saying to me, Mom, get on that plane, do whatever you can, get on that plane. And then Trudeau came up with the thing where you had to take the test before you got on the plane. You had to be negative within 72 hours. And then when you got off the plane, he was going to test people again. And you had to go into a $2,000 hotel situation for 3 days to see if you were positive or negative. Well, that's starting on the 22nd.
They're going to tell people you're positive even when you're not positive.
Right. Well, I had an absolute meltdown. I was so scared. I was so scared to come home that I almost wanted to just stay in Mexico, because the power, you know, the power for the transit authority to take you from the airport into a facility, and your family is not told where you are. So it's already happening.
It is.
Maybe the deaths and the vaccination and all of that is not happening. But the fact that people are getting used to being carted around like cargo and being told, you go here, you go there, you know, if you're positive, you have to stay inside for 14 days, where we tell you all of this stuff is just training, and it's training us to live into that authority, and to like you said, for people to say, oh yeah, well, I guess this is what I have to do, and to march on in to certain.
But it's like cattle into their slaughter, and a lot of people that are asleep are going to walk right into their slaughter. But people like us the renegades, like you said, will run up to the wherever we can to hide, to not get this vaccine. But they will come hunt us. They will try to.
They hunt us.
They hunt us, you know.
But here we go. Let's just remember that the light
But
isn't shining when we're living in trauma and fear.
But then that's the thing, we can't live in fear. That's why I always hold my vibration, because I know I'll be transported into the 5D or whatever, like whatever, right?
One of the things that I listen to Carrie Cassidy quite a bit. I think Carrie is really on the money on a lot of things. Sometimes she goes too far on some things, but she says she has great intel for her stuff. One of the things that she says is that the troops are already at the borders. The troops that Crystal has seen with the black suit. She says they're already at the borders. But that wasn't what I was going to say. What Carrie said, and I'm holding on to this for dear life, actually, is that even if we are vaccinated, even if we are given what I think is going to condition our bodies for future disease, even if it doesn't kill us right now, I think that it's going to lower our immunities for the future, so that we can be, we could be made sick with different epidemics and pandemics. But what she says is that our light is so strong, and our inner being, our spiritual being is so strong that we may be able to even overcome the biology of it. So, I'm holding on to that thought, so that even if the vaccination becomes mandatory, I believe that I will be able to surpass it spiritually.
That's exactly where I'm putting my energy too. Like,
Right. Because I don't want to be fearful.
Yeah, even if you put the vaccine in you, you're such a light being, and you can overcome that vaccination, because that's in your body, your energy, and you can overcome that. So I'm not going to put even if I have to take that shot, I'm going to rise above that anyways. I'm not going to be fearful, even if I have to put that in my body. I'm going to.
Well, I think I don't know what Marie thinks about this, being a doctor, but my feeling about it is that it's an immune lowering drug. So, if you look at it that way, there are ways that we as human beings and spiritual beings and people, eating good food, etc., that we can overcome a low immunity. And so they haven't worked for a year. My kids, they were all rappers, and they haven't been able to work for a year. So this is a part of the plan, is to have people not be able to work, so that after a year or two of not working, that, people are just going to say, give it to me because I need to get back to work. Give it to me because I need to go to a concert. Give it to me because I need to go to the library to do some research, and so I think that this is the insidiousness of it. This is the thing. Is that people will start begging for it just to be able to function in society.
Oh, sure.
And so, we need to find solutions before people are feeling that way, because already a lot of people are feeling that way. But we need to find solutions to stop it from happening. And I think
we're working for that. We're working for that.
It's legal. Solutions are the only solution that we can find, I think.
Yes, but it's coming. There is a lot of lawyers working on that since last July. The leader is German and Californian both, and he got organized during all the past months. Sorry, I'm a bit tired. They took all the proofs. They have everything, and now they give it for free for any lawyer who is interested in that.
That's right.
And what the intention is, because I get their letters, regularly. I was interested in that, was subscribed. And he said that now everything is free for a new Nuremberg kind lawsuit, which will be a massive lawsuit all over the world for crime against mankind. And they waited until everything was absolutely proven. They have everything. So in the coming weeks, it will be. That could be quite a difference. Same. Yes.
I've experienced that myself, that sort of thing. And I think that maybe that's one of the answers, like you're
Yeah.
saying, maybe,
Yeah,
you know,
but we
intentional.
have to be absolutely conscious of what it works. Really, we have to know everything, even if it's difficult and frightening and sad and all. It's compulsory to know. It's like alchemy. Like alchemy. At a certain point in alchemy, I worked on that. You have the heavy matters going down, and you have to separate that from the light stuff, which is a bit difficult. You can mess the whole stuff at that moment. It's exactly what occurs now. But for that, we have to, I mean, in a certain way, honor the dark matter as well, because it helps you to produce the light stuff. So it's a bit complicated to explain, but there is something like that. And then you just use it slowly. There is no violence in that.
Right.
And it could work. And I think that what we have to do is to tell people who can listen or have some eyes that it is a possibility too, because that's why they ask to focus, to know what occurs and to focus on what has to be.
The timeline that we want, not the one we
Yeah.
don't want. That's right.
I totally get that. Like, that's why I say from the 3D to the 5D energy, like I see we're in this 3D world with all this bad stuff happening, but if we focus our energy and go up to the 5D, we kind of switch from this 3D to this 5D, like we go through this tunnel, almost like a portal, and we leave the stuff behind. Because I saw, like with the vaccine, I almost see what you saw. And I almost see like we're being enslaved. Like that's another vision that I saw. Like we see all the human race being enslaved with the vaccine, and what ends up happening, they put us in a certain area and they end up taking I saw them taking all our land, all our stuff and all this stuff. And then I asked Spirit or whatever, I'm like, what is going on? Like, why are you showing me robots? I kept seeing like a square head, like a robot. And I'm like, why are you showing me robots? And then they said, because they're easier to train. We can tell robots to do any kind of job. Like they're almost like numbing us down with this vaccine. And then they're training the robots to do all the jobs. And then we're just going to be obsolete kind of thing, you know?
Oh my gosh, I'm going to speak to that for a second. So I'm going to cooperate with you. I have actually seen them using robots to communicate, and they've actually come to me with AIs or robots.
Yeah, I saw robots, and then the next day I went and saw, and what came to me is to look up robots, and I saw that robot Sophia. Have you seen that human robot Sophia? And the next day I'm like, oh my God, this is what it's going to come to.
Yes.
Is that what kind of you saw, Crystal, or?
Yeah, they had a square head, like a very.
I saw a square head. That's weird.
Yeah.
I saw a square head.
They weren't as tall as they were a little bit shorter than me.
It was like a square. It was like a square, like just a square head like that. You know, like in front of the movie, sometimes you go iRobot and it's that square head. That's what I saw.
Yeah, mine was a bit different. It was like a human looking, but very square head.
And I noticed quite often personally, because it's a bit difficult for me too, actually, that when I was letting go to a bit of sadness and kind of despair, you know, floating around because of the situation. And so that was the tool to think suddenly. We have to train to think that even in that moment, we have to focus on what is coming, not what we imagine, but it is. I was lucky enough to have seen this new world. I told you in this chapel when I saw my feet on the real world now, and from my knees, it was another world. So it helps me a lot because I have not to imagine anything. I saw it, so I can very easily feel in it. And immediately everything which is hard and heavy disappears, vanishing very quickly. So it's our tool too, you know, and enjoy what we are going to experience too. But when we were taken in these trains at night, it was in the, when was it that in the 80s, beginning of the 80s, that every, no, that was 75. Yes, 75, sure. We were taken in beautiful tunnels, quite modern at night, to have experiences. And so this famous experience when we were all by 5, 6 together in a room, doing nothing, waiting on an experience, and that I had asked a woman outside in the corridor, what are we going to do? Because time is going on and we do nothing. And she said, look seriously at every detail, focus on details, and come back and tell me if you noticed anything. And that's only then that I could see that the reality was doubled. The reality was doubled. The glass I had in my hand, the table, the wall, the balcony, everything was slightly doubled. And we got the feeling it was all same, but no, there were two realities together. And so I came outside, told her, and she said, that's it. And since 3 years, I got very often this message, look carefully at details, pay attention to details. And I think now, I did not understand for years and years and years, of course, just remember that. And now I understand that we are right in the world where the two realities are separating slowly. And we have to take care of that difference. And I think a proof of it is that even in a bad situation, I speak for me, when I feel sad and well, I'm fed up with that, you know, you have just to think of it and suddenly everything is different. So it's not psychological, it's real, I mean. So, and I think every time we look at the other reality, we boost on it, we enhance it, we make it more, we make it closer, more available to everybody who is eager to see it. In effect, we are creating a path.
We have to remember that we're the creators in creation. We have to remember that. So if we're looking at negative timelines, we are creating them. Not that we don't want to see what might be there, but I think that as far as creating the world that we want, we need to stay and focus on that because we are creating.
But that's the trick. That's the trick we are facing now, because we can't deny the other timeline too. We have to see it plainly, you know, and that is the trick we have to face. But we have not to put any energy in it. I mean, not to put feelings. Though it's difficult at times. We have just to know it, but we know where we are going to, and which is a bit different. It's easier to see it in a vision than explain it. But it's something like that, you know.
I think a very funny proof of that it's happening is that whole Mandela effect thing that many people are aware of. Yeah. I think that really shows the two timelines that are almost you know, they're very, very close, but not.
Oh yeah.
So there's two realities going on. And we have to choose which one we want to go to, you know.
The more we are going up, which is a natural movement, you know, we're just to go on like we are. There's no specific physical effort for that. The distance between two worlds will be bigger. And so, of course, the thing that's, I'm sorry with my English tonight, it's awful, sorry. So the world which is coming down will be further from us too. So it will be worse in a way, but so much better in the other way. If you can see, because the distance, that will be social distance too, but more. And the idea right now is to take as many people as possible to the new world. And the idea for the others is to do exactly the same. That's why simply we are targets and why it is sometimes a bit difficult. Simple in a way. Well,
I have a question for both Ian and Marie, actually. I'm getting news from England that the vaccination will be mandatory. I'm getting news that everyone is going to have it.
It's the
So
idea. It's
I don't have another
obviously
point
it's
of
the
view on
idea.
that.
It's everywhere.
There is a lot of talk at the moment about whether or not it's going to be mandatory to have vaccinations if you work in the care industry or not, whether or not that's going to be legal or whether they're going to be allowed to do that. But it might be that, I mean, I think already bosses are hiring people only who have had a vaccination for care work.
Yes. Well,
Here's
I think
Jane. She's got her headphone on.
in general, right? Service industry in general, like bus drivers, waitresses, waiters, bartenders, you know, porters, people that are out in the public. I think all of them, and teachers, all of them will. I think that individual companies will make policy, so it may not be mandatory in terms of the country, the government, but individual places are making policy.
Yes.
What I think
So
that
they
is
won't
that what we
hire
have
you
to
if
do
you
is
don't
to
have
gain time. What we have to do is to gain time. We were discussing that the other day with many doctors. So, because first of all, the big labs can't make enough vaccines for the whole world. They said they would, but there were problems. So that's a good point for us, you know, because even if they want to vaccine everybody, they can't do that. So
Right.
first of all, we can give our paper to somebody else. It's what I did. I got mine recently. Of course, I put it in the dustbin immediately. So we have just to gain time. It's a first step, quite simply, because they don't have enough vaccine for everybody. Secondly, we have to wait until the work we do underground all over the world could appear, and that could reverse totally the situation. What I had seen very long ago in a big vision was, of course, I could not understand that. I thought it was personal, but no, it's not. I was in a tunnel, no choice. First of all, I was walking in a very lighted corridor, large, white, happy, and so, la, la, la. And suddenly I saw further on a wall, a white wall, lighted and so, but it was a wall. And so I decided to leave the line. I had a line on the floor showing it was by now. So I wanted to see in the future, and thinking that maybe it was just the end of my life, which was not a real problem. But then I saw on the right side a hole in the wall. So I wanted to have a look. I to it. It was dark at the beginning. It was dark, but it was rather easy to go. And quite at the end of it, I could see a small light. So I decided to go on and see. But during the last yards of crawling, it was very difficult. Everything was so narrow. I thought I could not go further. I was exhausted and I wanted to stop. And then I thought, no, I am quite close to the end of it. I'm not going to leave now. And I went there, and suddenly it was a large opening into something which was much lighter than the first corridor, and with thousands of people waiting for us and so. And I do think that it means what we are living now. So even if it's come to be very narrow, we have to go on. That's all. Never give up. That's what they say. And I think we all do.
I'm sorry, I just wanted to thank you for the work that you guys are doing, for the underground movement of doctors who are fighting for everyone. I want to thank you because you guys are sacrificing your careers.
Yes.
You are sacrificing your safety. You are sacrificing so much to do the right thing for humanity. And that is huge. And I think it's amazing. And I appreciate what you're doing.
Yes, thank
But
you.
we all do that. Just what you do. Look to Crystal. Notice the background I've put. It's Orion. I found Orion belt and I decided to put it for you and me. Behind, I don't see what you can see. It seems
So
dark.
Jane, did
It's
you fix
Orion.
your microphone problem?
shouting as loud as I can. Yeah, okay. I've lost the track of the conversation now, though.
It was about England and vaccinations.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I've been doing a lot of research this year, obviously, with this all lockdown thing, about vaccines and the situation with viruses. The situation here is that it's not mandatory yet, but I think we're going to get to a stage where we're going to be virtually locked out of the system unless we have it. We won't be able to go into shops. We certainly, you know, traveling abroad isn't going to be an option without it, I don't think. You know, it's very tense there. And gradually this will creep in, and we, as activists over here, keep that there, we're working to try and stop this, you know, being virtually mandatory, but not, if you know what I mean, because we'll be locked out of the system if we don't have it. I think this will happen everywhere. Yeah, so that's the biggest problem. I'm quite lucky, really, that personally I have an allergic problem and I take antihistamines, so hopefully I can get a passport without having the vaccines. Anybody with allergies, severe allergies, would be exempt, hopefully. Yeah.
So you're saying that people are working through legal channels? Is that?
No, not at the moment, because obviously this vaccine has only just recently been introduced, and there's no pressure yet. We're not receiving any information about having to have it for certain things at the moment, and we just want to keep it that way. There are certain people in England who are trying to hold the government to account. That's an ongoing process. Michael Venetian, for one person. And we just have to watch this space, really. We're in a war, aren't we, with our governments, and the problem is that most people don't see it.
Can I share something with everybody? I have an email back from October 20, and it's from a leaker website, and it's from a strategic planning committee, and it's he forecasted a bunch of stuff from the strategic planning committee from the liberal government in Canada here, and I read it back in October, and most of the stuff that he's written on here has come true, and he forecast everything that's going to happen, and the stuff has already happened, and I'm just blown away. And it's just in point form. But if you guys want to hear what it says, like, not many people have seen this email, but he says, okay, phase and secondary lockdown restrictions on a rolling basis, starting with major metropolitan areas first and expanding outward, expected by November 2020. Then rush the acquisition of construction isolation facilities across every province and territory, expected by December 2020. Yep. Then daily new cases of COVID-19 will surge beyond capacity of testing, including increases in COVID-related deaths, following the same growth curves, expected by the end of November 2020. Complete and total secondary lockdown, much stricter than the first and second rolling phase restrictions, expected by the end of December 2020, early January 2021. Reform and expansion of the unemployment program to be transitioned into the Universal Basic Income Program, expected by Q1 2021. Projected COVID-19 mutation and or co-infection with secondary virus referred as COVID-21, leading to a third wave with much higher mortality rate and even higher rate of infection expected by February 2021. Daily new cases of COVID-21, hospitalizations, and COVID-19 and COVID-21 related deaths will exceed medical care facilities capacity, expected Q1, Q2 2021. Enhanced lockdown restrictions, referred to as the third lockdown, will be implemented. Full travel restrictions will be imposed, including inter-province and intercity, expected Q2, 2021. Transitioning of individuals into the Universal Basic Income Program, expected mid-Q2, 2021. Projected supply chain breakdowns, inventory shortages, large economic instability, expected late Q2, 2021. Deployment of military personnel into major metropolitan areas, as well as all major roadways to establish travel checkpoints to restrict travel and movement, provide logistical support to the area, expected Q3, 2021. Along with that, provided roadmap with strategic planning committee was asked to design an effective way of transitioning Canadians to meet an unprecedented economic endeavor, one that would change the face of Canada and forever alter the lives of Canadians. What we were told was that in order to offset what was essentially an economic collapse on the international scale, that the federal government was going to offer Canadians a total debt relief. This is how it works. The federal government will offer to eliminate all personal debts, mortgages, loans, credit, which all funding will be provided to Canada by the IMF under what will become known as the World Debt Reset Program. In exchange for acceptance of this total debt forgiveness, an individual would forfeit ownership of any and all property and assets forever. The individual would also have to agree to partake in COVID-19 and COVID-21 vaccination schedule, which would provide the individual with unrestricted travel and unrestricted living, even under a full lockdown, through the use of photo identification referred to as Canada's Health Pass.
Wow.
Yeah.
Who did you say came up with that email?
I was given to a guy, a friend of mine, that it came from Leaker Inbox. He gets stuff from people that leak stuff, and it came from, he writes this: I want to provide some very important information. I am a committee member within the Liberal Party of Canada. I sit within several committee groups, but the information I'm providing is originating from the Strategic Planning Committee, which is steered by the PMO. I need to start off by saying that I am not happy doing this, but I have to, as a Canadian, and more importantly, as a parent who wants a better future, not only for my children, but for other children as well. The reason I am doing this is because roughly 30% of the committee members are not pleased with the direction this will take Canada, but our opinions have been ignored, and they plan on moving forward towards their goals. They have also made it very clear that nothing will stop the planned outcomes. I just wanted to share that with you. I know it's a little scary, but
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Can you still hear me, everybody?
Yes.
Good. That was actually posted on Daily Dyke's news headline website page.
Okay.
Yeah, quite a while ago. I did read it a couple of times. It's absolutely horrific.
Yeah, I want to share that with many people so they know what's coming. So
thank you for that. Yes, because it's horrendous, absolutely horrendous. Yeah, I do follow David Icke quite a lot. I don't know how many of you are familiar with his work.
Yeah, I follow David Icke too. Yeah, Jeff asked me to say goodbye. He had to go. I just want to mention, like, COVID seems to be part of the visions, like some people are having, like Crystal, but it's kind of a philosophical decision. How much does the UFO Meetup group want to talk about COVID? Because there's so many really good people on the internet telling the real truth about COVID 24/7, 365. And last year I've received 1,000 emails from people who want to inform Brian Rue about COVID. And Dave almost quit this group 2 meetings ago because we were talking about COVID. So how long do you want to talk about COVID? We can take a vote, you know.
Well, I think we can't avoid it. because I really believe that this is part of the negative alien agenda. I think it's definitely something
huge
that has been placed upon us. And as far as I'm concerned, it's very much part of the dialogue right now, the important issue. And maybe this is the cognitive dissonance that, you know, that Crystal is talking about,
Mhm.
is that people really do not want to believe that this could be happening, and yet it's happening right under our noses. So,
Yeah.
you know, I'm sorry for people who feel that it's not part of the UFO field, but I think that world affairs, any kind of world affairs at the moment, are definitely part of the UFO field.
Well, I believe it is because my visions, and I'm getting visions from somewhere, and they're telling me about buildings, and they're telling me about the virus, and they're telling me about
Yeah.
vaccines. So they're communicating this to me. So this has to be, and this is what I'm supposed to be sharing with people.
Well, I'm amazed that so many of us have had this train vision. I had the train
Yeah.
vision quite a few years ago,
Yeah.
and I'm actually on the train in the vision, which
Yeah. So
won't
it's
say, but
it's
actually
what's
I am
coming,
there.
and it's what needs to be talked about. So I know it's
And you know,
Yeah, I think it is part of the
Yeah,
UFO reality.
the other part of
Yeah.
the vision that I
Yes.
didn't mention in my vision is that young military. It's young military and even mixed military, like NATO forces, are taking the people on the trains. So it might not be Canadian soldiers. It might be someone from somewhere else in Europe or whatever, to make it less less of a chance of taking your grandma to her death, for instance, right?
But they might not even be human. They could be like, what do you call, what are those aliens?
In my vision, they were definitely young.
Reptilians, shapeshifters, you
They're
know.
mind controlled people. I just want to speak on a couple things because they said I'm quoting the aliens, the ETs.
Okay.
Now. Okay, I'm quoting ETs that we will march like lambs to the slaughter.
Okay, and that's what I just said.
They said that literally word verbatim. They also showed me mind control, but I want to explain something else that was important that I didn't bring up in my presentation, and that I think it's important that I mention this, is that the mind control that the soldiers were experiencing had a limit, and that humanity's free will eventually was able to overcome even the mind control devices that the soldiers were experiencing. So I never went into the details of what I saw when they were exterminating women and children in the outlying areas, but I'm going to go over that right now. If you guys don't mind, I'm going to shift the topic just a little bit more to the messages that were specifically seen.